In our last video, we were in the city of Valdosta, Georgia. We strolled the streets of the downtown. We learned about the town's history. And we explored some of the street art. In this video,
we're in Tifton, Georgia.
Tifton, Georgia is the second stop on what we're calling Wanderlust 2025, our annual trip from Central Florida to Kansas and back again. All right, we are in Tifton, Georgia, about 45 minutes from our last destination and maybe hour and a half from our next, so we just figured why not wedge one in between. We're just going to walk the streets of the downtown as we always do, so come along and explore this little town with us.
We start at City Hall, which was formerly the Mayan Hotel built in 1906. It was a top destination for 50 years before falling into disrepair. It was renovated in the 80s and made into City Hall, which started the downtown renewal.
For context, we were in Tifton on a Thursday afternoon.
We're walking by the Wilton Arms building, built in 1907 and was Tifton's first skyscraper at 5 stories.
Which now is only 3 stories as 2 were destroyed in a fire. And here we are approaching Main Street.
This whole area is the Tifton Commercial Historic District. Renovation in this area occurred in the 80s and it was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1986.
So wait, for clarification, are you saying the entire downtown was added to the historic registry?
That is correct. All 35 acres were added in 1986 and another 15 acres added in 1994.
Oh wow, I did not even know that was a thing. I thought it was just on a building by building basis. Cool to know. So if you're new to our channel, our methodology here is to walk down one side of the main street to what we kind of consider the end, flip around the other side and come back so you can see it from both perspectives and then explore any interesting side streets or parallel streets.
The tallest brick building across the street there is the Old Masonic Lodge, built in 1899.
And here you see the historic theater, but we'll get a better view of it from the other side and discuss it there.
Tifton is nicknamed the Friendly City, and it is the county seat of Tift County. Current population is about 17,000.
Interesting side note, in our relatively extensive travels, there doesn't seem to be any correlation between the size of the town, meaning the population of the town, and the size of the downtown. Sometimes these little population towns have very big downtowns, and sometimes the bigger cities have almost no downtown. So don't let the size of the city discourage you from exploring the core of it. In some cases, the city's original population was much greater than it is today, hence a much bigger downtown. And in other cases, it was just a dot on the map when the downtown was developed, and now the city's well over 100,000 people. You just never know.
Here we're panning the side street and we're about to go back on the other side.
As a general side note, we observed that most of these old buildings are still currently in use, which is fantastic. And also, when you visit these historic downtowns, you're unlikely to find any kind of chain stores or restaurants. You'll see a few here and there, but mostly it's your local mom and pop type stuff, which is really great. Make sure you always try to support those.
This is the Main Street Gateway Park. So there again, you can see the Tifton Theater. It opened as a 1,400-seat theater in 1937, showing Pennies from Heaven. It showed films and live theater for 50 years, but then closed in 1987. It was renovated and is now open again.
Yeah, the renovation of an old theater or an old hotel seems to be kind of the cornerstone for revitalizing a downtown. I really love it when businesses show the date that they were established.
So we're now approaching the old railroad depot, and this is a good time to talk about the city's history. Tifton was founded in 1872 by Henry Tift at the junction of two railroad lines. It was incorporated in 1890. The first passenger train came through here in 1888, and it was a common stop for railroads going from Chicago to Florida or Cincinnati to Florida, which is really what made it boom. Unfortunately, passenger service ceased in 1971, and that's when they started to see the decline of downtown. The brick buildings across the street were originally tobacco warehouses built in 1923 that then served as Coca-Cola distributors. In 2017, they opened as luxury apartments. The train depot was restored in the early 2000s and now serves as the Railroad Museum.
Yeah, regarding trains, it's sort of ironic because the very thing that brought the city into existence is usually what's responsible for its decline after it's either left or largely been abandoned. Repurposing old buildings for modern housing, by the way, is something that I think is just fantastic. Of course, I'm biased because we've actually purchased one of those type of places. So the train station was a block or two off the main street, so here we are back on Main Street.
This is one of 22 Dogs in Tifton statues, each named and sponsored by local businesses. It's an initiative of the University of Georgia Tifton Campus Agribusiness Club.
Note the signage. You'll see it all throughout this video. Kudos to you, Tifton, for putting up all this historical signage. It makes for a wonderful self-guided walking tour. Occasionally in the comments, somebody will say, hey, thanks for making our town look nice, or hey, why'd you make our town look not so nice? I just want to say, and this applies to every video we've ever made, we have zero agenda. You're just seeing the town through our eyes.
Yeah, usually this is the first time we've been to any of these cities, and we do almost no research before we get there, so sometimes we miss something important, and other times we stumble upon something that a lot of people never see.
Yeah, we preach this all the time. Be sure to walk into the alleyways or the side streets because sometimes the coolest stuff we find are located in places you may not see from the main street.
So something interesting about Tifton is many cities in Georgia, think like Savannah, had town squares. Tifton had no town square. The city was crisscrossed with rail lines. Everything headed from the center of town outward like spokes on a wagon wheel.
Yeah, the sort of awkward layout of the city streets was very apparent during our visit.
Now we're at the Tifton County Historic Courthouse, built in 1912. The architect who built this one built one other courthouse in Georgia, 2 in Florida, and 9 in South Carolina.
And like many courthouses throughout the country, you'll see monuments to wars past. And here's just a view of the block directly across from the courthouse. This town really makes you feel like you're stepping back in time.
Tifton and Tift County are known as the plant center of the world because this area produces 50 of Georgia's agricultural products. Historically, Tifton produced timber, tobacco, peaches, and cotton. This building was built in 1899 as a church, and it served as a church till 1947. Then it sat empty till the 90s, but it was renovated by the Tifton Council for the Arts and is now the Sid Blackmar Arts Center. And next door to the Arts Center is the library. It was built in 1913 as the post office and was renovated in 1960 as the library, making it one of the oldest continuously used buildings in Tifton. This is the Golden Hardware store built in 1919. It is undergoing some renovation. All I could find online is they started renovating it in 2019, but I couldn't find anything more recent.
Yeah, if you know about the renovation of this building or any other buildings you might see in this video, please comment below so we can all learn.
If any of the downtown looks familiar to you, you might have seen it in the film Gasoline Alley, which was shot entirely in Tifton. Bruce Willis and Luke Wilson both appear in that film.
There wasn't enough street art to have its own section, but we'll finish this video with the awesome little Veterans Memorial Park. And after that, we'll wrap this one up. All right, what did you think of Tifton, Georgia?
I liked it. I had never heard of it. I had heard of Valdosta, our first stop, but not this one. But what I really liked is the city's really trying to promote downtown. There was a lot of signs talking about the historic district, and we saw some posters with all the events that are going to be going on for the next few months. So I appreciate that they're bringing people to their downtown.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're definitely trying. Like you said, I saw a lot of signage about the history of the city, and it looks pretty new. So my guess is this is sort of a new initiative, and I wish them all the luck in the world. So I'm glad that we made this stop. Get off the couch. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.